A massive change is being proposed to EHCPs as part of the government's SEND reform plans, mainly around specialist provision packages and how this will interact with EHCPs. I've already explained specialist provision packages in my last video, but now we're going to look at how EHCPs will change and how it will impact how enforceable the support your child needs is. This is vital to understand. This is not a small change. This is a fundamental shift in what an EHCP actually is, to the point where I'm not sure you can even call it one anymore. What they're calling new improved EHCPs will guarantee statutory entitlement to the provision from the specialist provision package the child is assigned to, or more than one if they need it. Check my previous video for an explanation of what that means, because that's bad enough on its own. But the detailed day-to-day support that they need will be set out in individual support plans, which I also covered in a previous video. It's a digital document that a school must provide for every child with SEND, including those with an EHCP. So at the moment, if your child may need an EHCP, they are assessed by an educational psychologist and other relevant professionals who determine the needs of your child and then set provision using their expertise to decide what help your child needs to meet those needs. But under the future system, those assessments would be different. They would be matching children to predetermined packages of support. And this is how they say EHCPs will actually work. So the needs assessment would determine which package of support your child needs. Each package will describe the support and provision a specific group of children should receive. Settings will be commissioned to provide placements for specific packages. What if a child needs more than one package? We talked about that before. And they will organise support for the whole group of children assigned to that package. Then it says under EHCPs, the local authority will still create an EHCP, choosing the parts of the package that are relevant to their needs. So limiting to that package or packages rather than what they actually need to meet their needs. Those packages, evidence-based, which sounds great, but what if your child doesn't need what the evidence-base says? That doesn't work for them. What if they need something different? That's a problem. The setting will lead on the description of the provision. Parents will contribute to this process. And then it says the EHCP is updated if needed at each key stage review. That is years apart. It says the EHCP is a legal document still, and the provision detailed within it must be delivered by the setting in line with their funding arrangements with the local authority. So they'll still be required to deliver what's in an EHCP, but what's in an EHCP will be one of these packages or parts of one of those packages. We don't actually know how much detail is going to be in there, because the day-to-day support that they actually need will be in their individual support plan, which is created and held by the school. They will give more detailed day-to-day overview of specific support a child is currently receiving. They will be reviewed at a minimum annually with input from parents. So the ISPs reviewed annually but set by the school. EHCPs possibly only reviewed at key stage transfers, which seems crazy to me. And we know that EHCP will just contain the relevant elements of a predetermined package of provision, and I don't know what detail they will go into. You might be thinking, why does it matter? Well, as I explained in my video on individual support plans, the contents of those plans are not legally enforceable. So what sits within the EHCP in terms of provision, which is enforceable and appealable, and what sits within an individual support plan is very, very important, because if it's just in the individual support plan, there is no legal right to it. This also significantly affects school placement. Under this system, you can't ask local authorities to consult with the schools you want them to consult with. They will give you a list of settings able to provide the package your child needs. What will happen when your child needs several packages? There's no setting that can provide all of it. I have no idea. And some of these packages are designed for mainstream only. So if your child falls into one of those packages, that list will only include mainstream schools, even if that simply would not work for your child. When you combine this with the fact that tribunals would not be able to name a setting under these proposals, and the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill that would prevent parents whose children have an EHCP from removing them from school, even if that setting is really damaging them, you can see the issues that are going to start to appear. And if tribunal cannot order the local authority to name a setting, which we will talk about more in a future video, then this could lead to situations that are really harmful, very much the opposite of helpful and improving outcomes for children with SEND. The question 23 asks, what is needed to make these proposals work effectively? That is having a general idea of provision within the EHCP and then day-to-day provision in the individual support plan. Obviously, if the provision is not in the EHCP, it will not be enforceable, it will not be appealable. The content of individual support plans, the only way to challenge them is with the school itself, that's it. So we need to make sure that quantified provision is listed in that EHCP so that children still have a right to it, but I don't know how that would be possible if they are reviewed so rarely. Question 24 is about a direct route to specialist provision packages and EHCP assessments for children under 5 with complex needs and how we can make sure this works in practice. You need highly skilled early years professionals, specialists, to assess that child and identify what their needs are so that the help that you put in for them is the right help. What really worries me about this is that if you match a 2, 3 or 4-year-old to the wrong provision package because their needs are misidentified, you will waste all of the time where you could be having a genuinely good impact on that child's development and their progress and their ability to meet their potential. So for the sake of trying to save a bit of money or streamline services, we are going to directly impact what that child can achieve for the rest of their life. How can we make sure it works? Do what you do now, get them properly assessed, but do it earlier and do it properly. And 25, what would you expect to be considered as part of the new needs assessment process? For example, evidence and expert or professional input. How about exactly what we have now, except it actually being done? Obviously, educational psychologist, obviously speech and language, OT, all of that as needed per child, and making sure that social care and health actually input into that plan, not making the needs assessment about which of these 7 packages do you fit into, making it about what does this child actually need. If there is one thing I would like the government to change about these proposals, it is this specialist provision package plan and everything that goes along with it. I think it is a terrible idea with no benefits whatsoever that will only cause problems. So this is an area I'm going to be focusing on a lot in my consultation. In the next video, we are going to look at school choice, how the government plans to limit school choice or restrict children and young people to specific schools. We'll also talk about the reduced tribunal powers, even though there are no questions on that because it's very important you know about it. I will share that as soon as I can. In the meantime, there's a link in my bio to my YouTube playlist that has all of these videos in order so you can work through the form. And please do follow me here so that you can see when I post the next video.